For 7 days, my only company was the sound of the ocean and the hum of cars I couldn't reach, just 250 feet above me. But how could I possibly survive at the bottom of a cliff, completely alone, with injuries that should have been fatal? Welcome to Learn English with my story. In this podcast, you'll hear incredible true stories from the people who lived them, and we'll learn some natural, useful English along the way. It was July of 2018. I was driving down the Pacific Coast Highway in California, one of the most beautiful roads in the world. I was on my way to visit my sister in Southern California, and I was so excited. I was really looking forward to seeing her. To look forward to something means to feel happy and excited about something that is going to happen. For example, I'm really looking forward to the holidays. Anyway, the view of the ocean was incredible. The sun was shining. I remember I was just feeling so happy, so free. I was driving through a remote part of the coast called Big Sur. There were huge cliffs on one side and the deep blue ocean on the other. Then, all of a sudden, something happened that changed everything. All of a sudden is a very common phrase that means suddenly or unexpectedly. For instance, all of a sudden, the lights went out. A small animal ran out onto the road right in front of my Jeep. I reacted without thinking. I swerved to avoid it, and that's the last clear thing I remember. My car started to skid and I completely lost control. The next thing I knew, I felt a horrible falling sensation. It felt like I was in a movie, not real life. It just kept going and going, this terrifying drop. I'm not sure how long I was unconscious. When I woke up, the first thing I noticed was the pain. My whole body hurt. And the second thing I noticed was water. Cold ocean water was up to my knees, right there inside my car. I had no idea where I was or what had happened. My head was in terrible pain, and I felt so confused. I remember touching my head and just feeling this intense, sharp pain. I had a brain hemorrhage, but of course I didn't know that at the time. I tried to get out of the car, but it was smashed and stuck between rocks on a tiny beach. I looked up and saw the highway, way, way up at the top of the cliff. It looked so far away, like a different world. I screamed for help, but no one could hear me over the sound of the ocean waves crashing against the shore. The feeling of being so close to people, yet so completely alone, was terrifying. The first day was a blur of pain and fear. I would pass out for a little while, then wake up again. To pass out means to become unconscious for a short time. For example, it was so hot in the room that I felt like I was going to pass out. My body was in so much pain, from what I later learned were fractured ribs and a collapsed lung. Every breath was difficult. I knew I was badly hurt. My main concern, however, quickly became thirst. My throat was so dry and I knew I couldn't survive without water. For a while, I felt completely hopeless. I thought about just giving up. I mean, who could possibly find me down there? The phrase give up means to stop trying to do something because it is too difficult. For example, the puzzle was too hard, so I decided to give up. But then, something inside me just refused to quit. I thought about my sister, my family. I couldn't do that to them. I had to at least try. I had to figure out a way to get fresh water. To figure out is a phrasal verb that means to understand or find a solution to a problem. For example, I need to figure out how to use this new software. I looked around my wrecked car and saw a black tube, a radiator hose that had broken off. And then I saw it. A small stream of fresh water trickling down some moss on the cliffside, not too far away. The hose was long enough. It was a crazy idea, but it was my only hope. So I used the hose like a very long straw to drink the water from the moss. It tasted like dirt and green things, but it was the best water I've ever had in my life. For the next few days, that became my routine. I would wake up, drink water through the hose, and watch the cars drive by on the highway above, praying someone would spot my Jeep. I tried to keep track of the days, but it was difficult. To keep track of something means to pay attention to it, so that you know where it is or what is happening. For instance, it's hard to keep track of all my appointments. The nights were the worst. It was cold and dark, and my imagination would run wild. I was constantly in agony from my injuries. The word agonies means extreme physical or mental pain. For example, he was in agony after twisting his ankle. I felt so lonely. I would talk to myself, just to hear a voice. I had dreams about my family, about being rescued, and then I would wake up to the same nightmare. I truly felt like I was completely on my own. On my own is an expression that means alone or without help. For example, I moved to a new city and had to learn to live on my own. But I survived, day after day. I don't know how, really. I just took it one moment at a time. I thought about all the things I still wanted to do in my life. I wasn't ready for it to be over. I had to come up with a new plan. To come up with something, like a plan or an idea, means to think of it. For example, she came up with a great idea for the party. By the 7th day, I knew I couldn't wait any longer. My body was getting weaker. I knew if I stayed in that car, I would probably die there. I had to try to walk for help. It was a huge risk. My feet were swollen, and every part of my body screamed in protest. But I knew it was my only chance. So, I finally made up my mind. To make up one's mind is an idiom that means to make a decision. For instance, I can't make up my mind about what to eat for dinner. I pulled myself out of the broken car window. The pain was unbelievable. I started walking, or rather shuffling, along the rocky beach. I had no idea where I was going. I just knew I had to move south, in the direction of my sister's house. Every step was a battle. I would walk a few feet and then have to rest. After what felt like forever, I saw something in the distance. 2 people. At first, I thought I was hallucinating, that my mind was playing tricks on me. But they were real, a man and a woman hiking on the beach. I couldn't believe I had actually run into someone. To run into someone is a phrasal verb that means to meet someone by chance. For example, I was so surprised when I ran into my old teacher at the supermarket. I started yelling as loud as I could. "Help! Please help me!" They saw me. They came running over. The woman's name was Chelsea. I will never forget the look on her face. It was a mix of shock and compassion. They gave me water and stayed with me. They couldn't believe my story. Chelsea ran to get help while her husband, Chad, stayed with me. When I finally saw the rescue team coming down the cliff, I just let out a huge sigh of relief. A sigh of relief is the sound you make when you feel happy and relaxed because something bad did not happen. For example, I let out a sigh of relief when I found my lost keys. I was so tired and so grateful. I just started crying. I couldn't stop. I remember a rescuer holding my hand and saying, "You're okay now. We've got you." In that moment, I just let go of all the fear and pain I'd been holding on to for a week. I knew I was going to be okay. They put me in a helicopter and flew me to the hospital. The recovery was long and difficult. I had to learn to deal with the physical pain and the emotional trauma of what happened. But I did it. I was able to get through it with the support of my family. To get through something means to manage to deal with a difficult situation until it is over. For example, it was a tough week, but we got through it together. Now, when I look back on that week, it feels like a dream. To look back on something means to think about something that happened in the past. For instance, when I look back on my childhood, I have happy memories. It's strange, but I don't feel anger or sadness about it anymore. That experience, as terrible as it was, taught me something important. It taught me about my own strength. It showed me how much I want to live. Today, I am so grateful for every single day. Grateful for something means feeling or showing thanks for something. For example, I am grateful for my friends and family. I learned that even in the darkest, most hopeless moments, there is still a reason to fight. You just have to find it. That experience changed my life forever. It reminds me that life is a gift, and we are all so much stronger than we think we are. Thank you for listening to my story. If you want to hear more fascinating true stories and learn English in a natural way, please subscribe to our channel. Exploring these real-life journeys helps us not only master the language, but also understand the strength of the human spirit. We'll be back soon with another story.